In our third unit, there are two parts: synthetic drugs and synthetic dyes. We had already discussed about synthetic drugs. Now, from today onwards, we are going to discuss about synthetic dyes. In this synthetic dyes, we are going to discuss mainly introduction, qualities of good dye, classification of dyes. These are the 3 points that we are going to discuss today. But we will see complete syllabus or contents for this topic, that is synthetic dyes. Introduction, qualities of good dye, classification of dyes based on methods of applications, then color and chemical constitution. In color and chemical constitution, there are two theories given, that is Witt's theory and second one is Armstrong theory. Synthesis and uses of the following dyes: alizarin, methyl orange, diamond black F, Congo red, and indigo and orange 2. There are 6 synthetic dyes for which we are going to discuss synthesis and their uses. This is complete syllabus of synthetic dyes. Now today we are going to discuss these 2 points, that is introduction and qualities of good dye, and second one is classification of dyes based on methods of application. In introduction we will see what are dyes. इंट्रोडक्शन मध्ये आपण पाहणार आहोत की डाईज म्हणजे काय. A dye is a colored substance that chemically bonds to the substrate to which it is being applied. Dye हे रंग देण्यासाठी वापरण्यात येणारा केमिकल कंपाऊंड आहे किंवा जो कंपाऊंड एखाद्या सबस्ट्रेटला रंग देण्यासाठी आपण वापरतो त्याला म्हणायचं डाय. Dye is a colored substance that chemically bonds to the substrate to which it is being applied. This is the definition of dyes. All colored compounds are not dyes. जरी colored substance आपण असा शब्द वापरला तरी सगळेच colored compounds हे dyes नसतात. Dyes are those colored compounds that can be firmly fixed to the fabrics by chemical or physical bonds. जे की असं फर्मली फिक्स होतात एखाद्या सरफेसवर, त्यालाच म्हणायचं आपण डाईज. Thus dyes are colored organic compounds that are used to impart color to paper, leather, fur, hair, drugs, cosmetics, plastics and textile materials such that the coloring is not readily altered by washing, heat, light or other factors to which the material is likely to be exposed. म्हणजे कलर्ड कंपाऊंड जर एखाद्या सरफेसवर, फॉर एक्झाम्पल पेपर आहे, लेदर आहे, हेअर आहे, ड्रग्स असतील, वेगवेगळे कंपाऊंड्स असतील, त्याला आपण कलर दिल्याच्या नंतर तो कलर जाता कामा नये, तो कलर जाऊ नये किंवा धुतल्याच्या नंतर किंवा सनलाईटला एक्सपोज केल्याच्या नंतर हा कलर जाऊ नये. जो कलर जात नाही त्याला आपण म्हणतो डाय. साधा कलर हा पाण्याने धुतलं तर जाऊ शकतो. नाउ व्हॉट आर क्वालिटीज ऑफ गुड डाय. चांगलं डाय कोणाला म्हणायचं किंवा चांगल्या डायचे क्वालिटीज काय आहेत. इट हॅज अ सुटेबल कलर. त्याला एक सुटेबल कलर असला पाहिजे. इट इज इझी टू अप्लाय. तो अप्लाय करण्यासाठी इझी असला पाहिजे. इट हॅज ड्युरेबिलिटी ऑफ कलर. आपण कलर दिल्याच्या नंतर तो जास्त वेळ टिकला पाहिजे. इट फिक्सेस इटसेल्फ टू फॅब्रिक्स. तो कलर त्या फॅब्रिकला स्वतःहून चिटकला पाहिजे. इट हॅज फास्टनेस प्रॉपर्टीज सच ॲज फास्टनेस टू लाईट, दॅट इज रेजिस्टन्स टू सनलाईट, फास्टनेस टू वॉशिंग, heat and bleaching, and resistance to the action of water, diluted acids, alkalis and various organic solvents or chemicals used in dry cleaning. These are different qualities of good dye. पहिली क्वालिटी आहे इट हॅज ए सुटेबल कलर. त्याला एक चांगला कलर असला पाहिजे, सुटेबल कलर असला पाहिजे. इट इज इझी टू अप्लाय. एनी डाय विच इज इझी टू अप्लाय इट इज कॉल्ड ॲज अ गुड डाय. Any dye which has a suitable color, it is called as a good dye. Which has durability of color, it is also called as good dye. And good dye is that which fixes itself to fabrics. It has fastness properties such that it is resistance to sunlight. Sunlight मध्ये त्याच्यावर कुठलाही परिणाम होत नाही. फास्टनेस टू वॉशिंग, हीट अँड ब्लिचिंग, म्हणजे धुतल्याच्या नंतर किंवा उन्हामध्ये ठेवल्याच्या नंतर किंवा हीट केल्याच्या नंतर किंवा ब्लिचिंग पावडरचा वापर करून आपण जर कपड्याला धुतलं तर तो कलर जाऊ नये. दॅट इज कॉल्ड ॲज फास्टनेस टू वॉशिंग, हीट अँड ब्लिचिंग. इट इज रेजिस्टन्स टू ॲक्शन ऑफ वॉटर, डायल्युटेड ॲसिड्स, अल्कलीज अँड व्हेरियस ऑर्गॅनिक सॉलंट्स ऑर केमिकल्स यूज्ड इन ड्राय क्लिनिंग. हा कलर ॲसिडला किंवा बेसेसला रेजिस्टन्स असला पाहिजे. ॲसिडचा आणि बेसचा त्याच्यावर कुठलाही परिणाम होऊ नये किंवा ड्राय क्लिनिंगमध्ये वेगवेगळे जे ऑर्गॅनिक कंपाऊंड्स आपण वापरतो त्याचाही त्याच्या कलरवर कुठलाही परिणाम होऊ नये. अशा डायला, अशा रंगाला आपण म्हणायचं गुड डाय. नाउ विल सी क्लासिफिकेशन ऑफ डायज. क्लासिफिकेशन बेस्ड ऑन सोर्सेस ऑफ मटेरियल्स. तो कुठं मिळतो याच्यावर सोर्सेसच्या नुसार दोन क्लास आपण सांगता येतील, नॅचरल डाय आणि सिंथेटिक डाय. परंतु हे क्लासिफिकेशन आपल्या सिलेबसला नाही. नॅचरल डाय आर दोज विच आर ऑप्टेन फ्रॉम प्लांट्स अँड ॲनिमल्स. प्लांट आणि ॲनिमलपासून जे मिळतात त्यांना आपण म्हणतो नॅचरल डाय. सिंथेटिक डायज आर दोज विच आर प्रिपेअर्ड इन द लॅबोरेटरी, दॅट इज कॉल्ड ॲज अ सिंथेटिक डायज. Until 1850s, virtually all dyes were obtained from natural sources. 1850 पर्यंत जे डाईज आपल्याला मिळायचे ते सगळे नॅचरल होते. 1850च्या नंतरच आपल्याला सिंथेटिक डाईज मिळायला सुरुवात केली. द फर्स्ट सिंथेटिक डाय दॅट इज मावे वॉज डिस्कवर्ड बाय विलियम हेनरी पर्किन, ब्रिटिश सायंटिस्ट, इन 1856. दिस इज William Henry Perkin, British scientist. He discovered the first synthetic dye mainly, that is Mauve. We can say Mauve. Many thousands of synthetic dyes have since been prepared. The discovery of Mauve was also led to developments within immunology and chemotherapy. Mauve हा जो पहिला केमिकल डाय आहे, सिंथेटिक डाय, तो डिस्कवर झाल्याच्या नंतर त्याचा उपयोग इम्युनॉलॉजी आणि केमोथेरपीमध्ये व्हायला सुरुवात झाली. पॉल इयरलिच in 1891 discovered that certain cells or organisms took up certain dyes selectively. He then reasoned that sufficiently large dose could be injected to kill pathogenic microorganisms. म्हणजे केमोथेरपीमध्ये पहिल्यांदा डाईचा वापर पॉल एअरलिचने केला 1891 दिस इज पॉल एअरलिच, जर्मन physician and scientist. Ehrlich went on to use a compound to target syphilis. The first time a chemical was used in order to selectively kill bacteria in the body. He also used methylene blue to target the plasmodium responsible for malaria. म्हणजे थोडक्यात ह्या ठिकाणी आपल्याला सांगायचं आहे की पहिला जो सिंथेटिक डाय आहे तो मावे हा विलियम हेनरी पर्किननं डिस्कवर केलेला आहे. परंतु मावेचा खरा वापर पॉल एअरलिचनं केला इम्युनॉलॉजी आणि केमोथेरपीमध्ये. इम्युनॉलॉजी म्हणजे रोगप्रतिकारशक्ती वाढवण्यामध्ये, केमोथेरपी इज स्पेशली वर्ड यूज टू क्युअर कॅन्सर. केमोथेरपी हा मेनली कॅन्सरसाठी वापरण्यात येतो. पॉल एअरलिचनं मलेरियाच्यासाठी सुद्धा ह्या सिंथेटिक डायचा वापर केलेला आहे. नाउ विल सी क्लासिफिकेशन बेस्ड ऑन मेथड्स ऑफ ॲप्लिकेशन. classification of dyes based on methods of application. This is for our syllabus. Dyes are classified on the basis of methods of application as follows: acid dyes, basic dyes, direct or substantive dyes, modern dyes, wet dyes, ingrained dyes, dispersed dyes, reactive dyes. These are 8 uh, classes of dyes depending on their methods of application. Now we'll see one by one. Acid dyes. Acid dyes are water soluble anionic dyes containing one or more sulfonic acid substituents or other acid groups. Acid dyes are applied to fibers such as silk, wool, nylon, and modified acrylic fibers using neutral or acid dye bath. Most synthetic food colors fall in this category. The dyeing process is reversible and may be described as follows. This is the dyeing process. An example of the class is acid yellow 36. That is, a dye containing acid groups is called as acid dye. ह्या पहिल्या क्लासमध्ये आपल्याला लक्षात येईल की ॲसिड डाईज आर वॉटर सोल्युबल अनॉयनिक डाईज. अनॉयनिक ग्रुप असलेल्या डाईजला जे की वॉटर सोल्युबल आहेत आपण म्हणायचं ॲसिड डाईज. दे कंटेन वन ऑर मोर सल्फोनिक ॲसिड सबस्टिट्युएंट्स ऑर ॲसिड ग्रुप्स. ह्या ॲसिड डाईजमध्ये मेनली सल्फोनिक ग्रुप असेल किंवा कुठलाही ॲसिडिक ग्रुप त्या ठिकाणी असू शकतो. ॲसिड डाईजचा वापर आपण सिल्क, वूल, नायलॉन यांना कलर देण्यासाठी वापरतो. मोस्ट सिंथेटिक फूड कलर्स फॉल इन दिस कॅटेगरी. फूड कलर्स, अन्नपदार्थांना जे आपण कलर देतो ते सगळे याच्यामध्ये मेजॉरिटी येतात. डाईंग प्रोसेस या ठिकाणी दाखवलेली आहे. डाय H+ दॅट इज ॲसिड अँड देर इज फायबर. ज्या फायबरला आपल्याला कलर द्यायचा आहे तो ह्या ठिकाणी आपल्याला दिस इज डाय कलर आहे. हा ॲसिड ग्रुप आहे आणि फायबर ज्याला आपल्याला कलर द्यायचा आहे तो कलर अशा पद्धतीनं आपल्याला देता येतो. आणि एक्झाम्पल आपण याचं सांगितलेलं आहे येलो 36. ॲसिड येलो 36 हॅज सच टाईप ऑफ स्ट्रक्चर. This is the structure of acid yellow. Here you can see that here there is SO3H group. Sulfonic acid group is there. Therefore, this is an example of acid dye. Now will the second one, that is basic dyes. These dyes have positive charge and bind to negatively charged molecules. Basic dyes are having positive charge. Acidic dyes have negative charge, whereas basic dyes have positive charge. They bind to negatively charged molecules, that is nucleic acid, SO3H, COOH or OH. Thus, basic dyes are water soluble, cationic dyes that are mainly applied to acrylic fibers but find some use for wool and silk. Usually, acetic acid is added to the dye bath to help the uptake of the dye onto the fiber. Basic dyes are also used in coloration of paper. Examples of basic dyes are methylene blue, toluidine blue, thionein, and crystal violet. These are some examples of basic dyes. This is brown one is an example of cationic dye, that is basic dye. Here you can see this molecule has different basic groups here. Therefore, it is also called as a basic dye. Basic brown one is an example of basic dye. Now we'll see the third one, that is direct or substantive dyes. A substantive dye or a direct dye is a water soluble dye. These dyes contain acidic or basic groups and combine with polar groups in the fiber. In acidic dyes, there were acid groups. they were negatively charged. In basic dyes, there were basic groups, they were positively charged. But here, direct or substantive dyes may contain acidic or basic group. Such dyes color a fabric directly when the fiber is immersed in a hot aqueous solution of the dye. Direct dyes are used to dye wool and silk. Synthetic polyamide fibers can also be dyed. Example of direct or substantive dye is Mauritius yellow, naphthol yellow, or Congo red. These are different points regarding direct or substantive dyes. That is, these dyes are water soluble dyes. They contain acidic or basic groups. Thirdly, they can be used to dye wool and silk, and polyamide fibers also can be dyed using these direct or substantive dyes. And examples of these dyes are Mauritius yellow or naphthol yellow or Congo red. They can be directly dyed from simple solution in water. That's why these dyes are called direct dyes. Why these dyes are called as direct dyes? Because they can be dyed directly from simple solutions in water. साध्या सिंपल सोल्युशन पाण्यामध्ये जर आपण सोल्युशन तयार केलं आणि तो डायरेक्टली अप्लाय करू शकतो, म्हणून ह्याला म्हणायचं डायरेक्ट डाईज. They have an affinity for cellulose, so can also be known as substantive dyes. Congo red was the first direct dye which was discovered in 1894. These are important points regarding direct or substantive dyes. याला डायरेक्ट का म्हणायचं तर हे डायरेक्टली अप्लाय करता येते. सबस्टँटिव्ह काय म्हणायचं तर हे सेल्युलोजबद्दल याच्यामध्ये ॲफिनिटी असते, म्हणून याला म्हणायचं सबस्टँटिव्ह डाईज. Direct dye, also called substantive dye, any of a class of colored water soluble compounds that have an affinity for fiber and are taken up directly, such as the benzene derivatives. Direct dyes are usually cheap and easily applied, and they can yield bright colors. Wash fastness is poor but may be improved by after treatment. Most packaged dyes sold for home use are direct dyes. Direct dyes can be used on a variety of materials including cotton, paper, leather, wool, silk, and rayon. In addition, they may also be used in other applications as pH indicators and as biological stains. These are the different points regarding direct or substantive dyes. Now we'll see the fourth one, that is mordant dye. This class of dyes require a pre-treatment of the fiber with a mordant material designed to bind the dye. आता हे मॉर्डन डाईज जे आहेत याच्यामध्ये हे डाईज एखाद्या सरफेसला आपण डायरेक्टली अप्लाय करू शकत नाही. त्याच्यासाठी इंटरमिडिएट कंपाऊंडची गरज असते, त्या इंटरमिडिएट कंपाऊंडला म्हणायचं मॉर्डंट. आणि मॉर्डंट वापरून आपण ज्या कंपाऊंडचा वापर करतो त्याला म्हणायचं मॉर्डंट डाय. द मॉर्डंट बिकम्स अटॅच टू द फायबर अँड देन कंबाइन्स विथ द डाय to form an insoluble complex. This complex is called a lake. Commonly used mordants are the oxides of aluminum, iron, and chromium. Mordant dyes are used to dye wool, silk, and cotton. Alizarin is an example of mordant dye. It gives different colors with different mordants. Mordant is defined as a substance that attach dyes to materials. मॉर्डंट म्हणजे काय की जे सबस्टन्स मटेरियलला अटॅच होतो त्याचबरोबर डाईला सुद्धा अटॅच होतो त्याला म्हणायचं मॉर्डंट. मॉर्डंटचा वापर करून हे डाईज आपण वापरतो. याच्यामध्ये आपण दिलेलं आहे की मॉर्डंट बिकम्स अटॅच टू द फायबर म्हणजे पहिल्यांदा मॉर्डंट सबस्टन्स जो आहे तो त्या फायबरला अटॅच होतो अँड देन इट कंबाईन्स विथ डाय. नंतर तो डायला अटॅच होतो आणि अशा पद्धतीनं इनसोल्युबल कॉम्प्लेक्स तयार होते, ज्याला आपण म्हणतो लेक. कॉमनली युज्ड मॉर्डंट्स आर ऑक्साइड्स ऑफ ॲल्युमिनियम, आयर्न अँड क्रोमियम. मॉर्डन डायचा वापर करून आपण वूल, सिल्क आणि कॉटन हे डाय करू शकतो, ह्याला कलर देऊ शकतो. आणि ॲलिझॅरिन हे मॉडर्न डायचं गुड एक्झाम्पल आहे. ॲलिझॅरिन इज अन एक्झाम्पल ऑफ मॉडर्न डाय. इट गिव्स डिफरंट कलर्स विथ डिफरंट मॉर्डन्स. मॉर्डन बदलला की ॲलिझॅरिनचा कलरसुद्धा त्या ठिकाणी आपल्याला बदलता येतो. व्हॉट इज मॉर्डन? मॉर्डन इज सबस्टन्स दॅट अटॅचेस डाईज ऑर मटेरियल. मॉर्डन म्हणजे रंग पक्का होण्यासाठी उपयुक्त असा पदार्थ, त्याला म्हणायचं आपण मॉर्डंट. Thus, mordant dyes require a mordant which improves the fastness of the dye against water, light, and perspiration. The choice of mordant is very important as different mordants can change the final color significantly. Most natural dyes are mordant dyes. The most important mordant dyes are the synthetic mordant dyes or chrome dyes used for wool, especially useful for black and navy shades. Some example mordant dyes are Eriochrome black tea, Solochrome red B, Chrome fast orange R, Mordant orange 10, Mordant red 9, Mordant black 11. These are different examples of mordant dyes. Now fifth one, that is wet dyes. Wet dyes are especially insoluble in water and incapable of dyeing fibers directly. Wet dyes are insoluble in water. They are incapable of dyeing fibers directly. However, reduction in alkaline liquor produces the water-soluble alkali metal salt of the dye. This form is often colorless, in which case it is referred to as a leuco dye and has an affinity for the textile fiber. Subsequent oxidation reforms the original insoluble dye. The reduction process was formerly carried out in a wooden vats, giving rise to the name wet dyes. Wet dyes are used to dye cotton. Indigo is an example of a wet dye. The color of denim is due to indigo, the original wet dye. Now see here, what are wet dyes? Wet dyes are essentially insoluble in water. Wet dyes हे water insoluble आहेत. They are incapable of dyeing fibers directly. Wet dyes चं पहिल्यांदा रिडक्शन होईल आणि नंतर ऑक्सिडेशन होईल. रिडक्शन झाल्याच्या नंतर ते वॉटर सोल्युबल फॉर्ममध्ये येतील. वॉटर सोल्युबल मेटल तयार होईल, मेटल सॉल्ट तयार होईल, अँड देन this form is often colorless, in which case it is called as a leuco dye. Oxidation gives soluble water, original insoluble dye. Why these dyes are called as wet dyes? Because reduction process was formerly carried out in wooden vats, therefore they are called as wet dyes. डेनिमचा जो कपडा असतो त्याला जो कलर आपण देतो ते इंडिगोचा असेल, वेट डाईज. Wet dyes are a class of dyes that are classified as such because of the method by which they are applied. Wet dyeing is a process that refers to dyeing that takes place in a bucket or vat. ह्या प्रोसेसमध्ये आपण बकेटचा वापर करतो किंवा वॅटचा वापर करतो, म्हणून ह्या डाईजला म्हणायचं वॅट डाईज. कारण ह्या डाईजला वापरण्यासाठी आपण पूर्वी बकेट वापरायचो, त्यामुळे ह्या डाईजला म्हणायचं वॅट डाईज. आणि इंडिगो इज द ओरिजिनल वॅट डाय. Now we'll see the next one, that is ingrain dyes. These dyes are synthesized within the fabric and may be applied to any type of fiber. The cloth to be dyed is first soaked in alkaline solution of phenol. It is then immersed in a cold alkaline solution of diazonium salt. Coupling reaction takes place within the fabric. Since these dyes are insoluble in water, they are very fast. The azo dyes are good examples of ingrain dyes. Azo dyes are good examples of ingrain dyes. Now the next one, that is dispersed dyes. These dyes are insoluble in water but are capable of dissolving certain synthetic fibers. Dispersed dyes are usually applied in the form of dispersion of finely divided dye in a soap solution in the presence of some solubilizing agents such as phenol, cresol, or benzoic acid. The absorption into the fiber is carried out at high temperature and pressure. Dispersed dyes are used to dye acetate rayon, dacron, nylon, and other fibers. Celiton fast pink B and Celiton fast blue B are examples of dispersed dyes. Now the last one, that is reactive dyes. Reactive dyes are the most versatile and popular class of organic dyes for imparting color on cellulosic fibers. As the name suggests, these dyes chemically react with cellulose to form a covalent bond between dye molecule and cellulose. Example of direct dyes are malachite green, aniline blue. Reactive dyes are so called because this is the only type of dye which has reactive group, and the reactive group reacts chemically with fiber polymer molecules and form covalent bond. In a reactive dye, a chromophore contains a substituent that reacts with the substrate. These are the silent features of reactive dyes. That is, they are brilliant shades, they are easy to apply, they have good fastness properties, and they are economically cheaper. Now we will see what are questions, different questions they may be asked. What are dyes? Give classification of dyes with suitable example. These are the two questions which can be used in the which can be asked in the examination. After writing answers for these two questions, you can get all the information. Thank you.